So yeah, I was raised in a religious cult, entered an arranged marriage at age 20, and lived sort of as a human slave for a lot of years. As I continued to grow, I realized that I didn't have to stay stuck, that it was really up to me to create the life that I wanted to have. I did the work to get up to that point to making that big decision. And the work was building my self confidence and my purpose and my desire up to the point that the fear of the unknown was less than the need to explore all of that. But then
Hello and welcome everybody to Reality Practice Quantum Creations, where I interview guests who have experienced quantum explosions in their personal and professional evolution and have rewritten their own version of reality. And they share the lessons that they've learned along the way. Today's guest is a repeat. This is her second time on the Reality Practice Network. I'm bringing on Rebekah Chamberlain, and for her story is truly inspirational and a journey of self-discovery, hard decisions and learning to grow and accept the reality that she's now chosen to create. So let's just hop right into it. Welcome to the show, Rebekah. Thank you so much for coming on. I'm excited to share with the audience kind of your story, your massive evolution that happened to you, and where you're at now. So let's
yeah.
take it away with starting at the beginning. You were raised in a religious cult and put into a forced arranged marriage at the age of 20. So let's just take it from there. And what happened?
Okay, awesome. Well, again, thank you for having me. I really appreciate your time. And to the audience, I appreciate your time as well. So, yeah, I was raised in a religious cult, entered an arranged marriage at age 20, and lived sort of as a human slave for a lot of years. A couple years into the marriage, I was very, very unhappy from day one, but gotten to the point that I couldn't stand it anymore and started leaning into personal growth, personal development, reading books by people like John Maxwell, Jim Rohn, Zig Ziglar, and started really feeding my mind truth. And as I continued to grow, I realized that I didn't have to stay stuck, that it was really up to me to create the life that I wanted to have. Between that feeling and looking at my daughters and telling them one thing and living out another, I really got to the point where there was no other decision but to walk away from everything I had known from that marriage. And so I did just that. I just reached 6 years ago. I walked away, and when I left, I had my three kids, $3,000, three bags of clothes. I had never gone to school a day in my life. I had never had a job. I had never lived alone. I had always lived under the authority of another male, whether it be my father or my husband. And I walked away from all of it and got to work rebuilding my life, and that's been a journey all on its own.
That to me just seems like so scary of a task,
Mm-hmm.
what you just explained.
Mm-hmm.
Three children, not having any money, not having a job, not knowing anything really. You've been kind
Mm-hmm.
of sheltered in
Yeah.
this community your
Yep.
entire life, and it got so bad you just one day said, I'm done. I
Yep.
am done. You up and moved. You made that quantum shift, that
Yep.
that whole new reality opened up for you. Um, you know, I think you said you were living in previous interview, you said you had been living in a victim mentality.
Yep.
How did you escape that paradigm of thinking? What
Yeah.
what was that
Yeah.
big shift for you?
Yeah. I love that question because, we do the work to make these massive decisions in our life, right? It wasn't like I woke up one day and just said, fuck it, I'm out. I did the work to get up to that point to making that big decision. And the work was building my self confidence and my purpose and my desire up to the point that the fear of the unknown was less than the need to explore all of that. But
Hmm.
then I made that big decision. I entered out on my own life, and the journey was hard, guys. It's still to this day. There's still times that are very challenging for me. And about a year and a half into that journey, I woke up one day and I was wildly unhappy. And I thought, I risked everything. I lost everybody I cared about. And what do I have? Like, I'm still just as unhappy. And that's when I realized that I was actually listening to a book called Extreme Ownership. I can remember the day like it was yesterday. I remember
Great
exactly
book,
what I
by the
was
way.
doing. Yes, it is. I remember exactly what I was doing when the light bulb went on. And I was like, okay, like I can go about life blaming my circumstances on the religion, on my dad, on my ex-husband, and I can continue to hate my life. Or I can realize that today and going forward, I'm responsible for the life that I create. I'm responsible to do the work to forgive. I'm responsible to take ownership and make decisions that are going to really fit into the goal of where I'm going. And at that point, I made the big decision not to stay in the tiny town that we all lived in, not to try to continue to swim upstream and be undermined and surrounded by people that were just trying to drag me down and trying to see me fail. And I moved a little bit away from my kids, which was the hardest decision of my life. But I knew if I was going to take ownership for my life and for theirs, they still live with me. I had to pull them out of that situation. And that's what it looked like.
You mentioned ownership was very important, but I think
Yeah.
just as important was the idea of forgiveness. You know,
Mm-hmm.
forgiving not only everybody involved, but forgiving
Yeah.
yourself as well. You know, can you kind of describe that process
Mm-hmm.
and how important it is in this
Yeah.
evolution that you had?
Yeah. You know what? Choosing to live in resentment and that victim mentality is full of resentment is like carrying a burden that's just not yours to carry. And we really create our own hell when we choose to live that way. And so, what it looked like for me was I started out with writing letters to the people I needed to forgive. And
Mm.
I did not leave a stone unturned. I named out everything that I was choosing to forgive them for, but then I also ended those letters with, you don't deserve forgiveness. Okay. What you did was unthinkable, unforgivable, inappropriate, all of those things. But I deserve to forgive you. And I deserve the freedom of saying, hey, you're off the hook. You're off the hook in my life. And that moment was very pivotal for me. But I think what we realized once we let everybody else off the hook is who really needed the forgiveness was us. Because no matter what you go through, hurt people hurt people. We make mistakes. We do things that we regret. We don't show up and handle every situation in the way that we really wish we could. Or when we look back, the woman I am today would have handled many situations very differently. But I did the best I could then. And so forgiving ourselves and letting ourselves off the hook and taking ownership is really what gives us our own freedom. And we hold that power inside of us. It is simply a choice. It's a choice
Mm.
that we all have.
You're giving me goosebumps just hearing that. I mean, that's just so much wisdom packed into that, couple minutes there. And it made me think the word compassion for
Yeah.
self was just playing over in my mind there, because it was
Mm-hmm.
that idea that, yeah, you had to forgive everybody, but you had to
Yeah.
forgive yourself. But in the meantime, you had to have some compassion for yourself, for
Yeah.
not beating yourself up for all of the crap that happened to you. It happened because that's the way it had to happen, right? For
Yeah.
you to evolve, for you to become
Yeah.
you. So it's
Yeah.
like, it's that compassion, that humor
Mm-hmm.
behind everything that happens to us.
Yeah.
Wouldn't you say that that's a main uh, aspect of really this healing process
Yeah.
is kind of laughing,
Yeah.
having that compassion for your soul, for
Mm-hmm.
yourself, for everybody, right?
Yeah, absolutely. It certainly is. And I think even deeper than that, as we lean into this forgiveness, we find acceptance. And then when we find acceptance of even the darkness that may linger, whether it's trauma, whether it's old habits and old beliefs that we have yet to uncover and discover and release, the more compassion and acceptance we find for ourselves, for every aspect of who we are and everything that we've gone through that has made us who we are, the quicker we're able to release and find solutions and live deeper into our freedom and also deeper into our purpose.
That's so powerful what you just said. Let me recap. As far as you overcoming, making this huge life shifting quantum leap in realities, you really used four main, and I'm probably missing some, but four main components here. You know, the ownership, extreme ownership of your situation, who and where you're at, you know,
Yeah.
forgiveness of everybody involved, most importantly, yourself, the compassion
Yeah.
to accept yourself and to
Hmm.
see everybody else in their own light, their own love, really. And then
Yeah.
the acceptance. That's really the kind of the final step of it all, right? It's just,
Yeah.
I am who I am. God made me perfect. There's nothing more
Hmm.
to change. There's only more to discover, right?
Yeah. Yeah.
I love it.
And that mindset is so pivotal to your growth because for anybody who's been through trauma, it's so easy to hate that piece of who you are, to hate what created those triggers, what created that mindset, what created those reactions, and to really look at it as I have something yet to discover and to be able to lean in curiously into those pieces of who we are creates a whole new realm of solutions because we're no longer like clenching up and fighting these people that we've turned into. We're accepting them and able to see from a bird's eye view exactly where we are and what we can do from that higher perspective to move through and past some of these situations or troubles that we have in our life.
That right there was the magic of it all. I loved what you just said. You know, we're we're moving through, we're evolving, we're
Yeah.
always exactly where we need to be in life,
Yes,
whether
we are.
we recognize it or not. I think the
Yeah.
sooner we recognize it, the sooner we can start getting past it.
Yeah.
It was the idea of magnets. You know, when
Yeah.
they're the wrong way, they're pushing against each other, right? But when they're
Yeah.
turned the right way, they just attract. And I think
Yeah.
that's really sums up, you know,
Yeah.
what you were just saying there is just
Yeah.
allowing, accepting, allowing that to be you, to experience the experiences, the good, the bad, the whatever, and just accepting and appreciating, being grateful, right? For
Yeah.
exactly the path that you chose, the path that you didn't know existed until you walked down it. And then
Yeah.
looking back, it's like that was the most amazing path I could have went down. How did I even create that? That was so,
Yeah.
it was like a movie. And that's, we're all living our own movie, you
Yeah.
know? So you've got to
Yeah.
wrap up.
And I still
Keep
have
going.
those moments, like the simplest. Yeah.
Do what?
Go ahead. I was just going to say, I still have those moments to this day where I just, they stop me in my track and I look at the life that I have created and the gifts that are all around me. And God, I just want it for everybody. I want everybody to be able to feel that feeling because it is the most beautiful thing in the world.
Absolutely. I couldn't have said it better myself. Becca, real quick, how can people find you? Where can they work with you if they're
Yeah.
interested in learning about what you do and how you help people, especially
Yeah.
women, overcome the struggles, the traumas of the past?
Yeah, well, I'm here on Instagram. Obviously, you can see my handle, Becca.Chamberlain. And in my link in my bio are all the other ways that you can find me. I'm on Facebook. I have a private group, and also my own page there. I just completed all the paperwork for my foundation, Emotional Justice. So if you are getting out of a difficult relationship or situation, please reach out to me. We have a lot of resources to help you. And then I've launched my speaking gig. And so I'm so happy to be sharing my story. And there's a lot that I didn't get into here that I do in other events. So if you're looking for somebody to come and share not only inspiration, but also tangible tools to really leave your legacy and rewrite your story, just shoot me a DM and I would love to chat with you.
Fantastic. Thank you so much, Becca, for coming on the show today.
Thank
Thank you
you.
all for watching. If this resonated with you, make sure you give it a heart, like it, share it,
Yeah.
comment. And until next time, thanks for watching. Stay blessed. And remember to always ask yourself, what reality are you choosing to create today? Bye now. Thanks, Becca.
Thank you.